host of the Gridiron.
My goodness, huh? Now, technically, the Giants still have not been favored in a football game in the United States in maybe 2 years, I guess, in the United States, right? But they're taking the show on the road to Germany. They're trying to keep their record overseas perfect. Now, they're 3-0, right? They're 3-0. They beat Packers, right? They beat the Rams. They beat the Dolphins. And they're going to try to beat the Panthers here. Now, to be fair, I mean, I'm a Giant fan, yada, yada, yada. I believe the Giants should be favored in this one. I don't think, even as bad as the Giants are, I don't think Carolina should be favored in this one by any stretch of the imagination. So, Giants finally favored by Oddsmakers. And I said, I mean, this has just been like, a long time since the Giants have been favored. A real long time. Right? But I mean, without question, they should be favored in this game here against the Panthers. For the first time this season, the Giants will travel to Munich, Germany, and be the odds-on favorite in a game where they face the Panthers. While the Giants may not be considered a favorite to beat any team in the NFL with the direction of the 2024 season, their Week 10 international matchup is set to be the lone exception to the rule for the odds makers. Now, I mean, we do have the Saints coming to Jersey, right? And the Saints really sucking things up. And the Saints actually lost to the Panthers. So, it just goes to show you how weird the NFL is. The Saints scored like 8,000 points the first 2 games of the season, just straight up killing people. And I'm like, damn, look at them Saints. Holy cow. Then I think it might have been week 3. They played, I think it was the Eagles. They played the Eagles week 3. And I said the Saints scored over 40 points, I believe it was, the first 2 games of the season. I'm like, damn. We might have the new Super Bowl representative right here in the NFC. Watch out for them Saints. Nope. The next week, when they played the Eagles, they scored like 13 points. Or couldn't do absolutely nothing. Of course, then the only way the Eagles won was Saquon had to have like a 70-yard touchdown run. It was a long run. Now, basically, that was the only way the Eagles won that game. But ever since then, they scored like 13 points against the Eagles, and they just absolutely just tanked. They've been in the toilet ever since. Absolute straight up freaking trash. The Saints. First 2 weeks of the season, 40 plus points. I think it was the second week, 40 plus points. Win, and then they were the Titanic. They hit the iceberg and they just went down. It's absolutely amazing how stuff like that happens, but it does. But said the Saints are coming to Jersey. The Saints, lost 7 in a row. The Giants can't even say that. So you tell me we got a chance, right? I'm not saying to win. I'm just saying the Giants might actually be favored against the Saints. So we might be favored in one more game this year. I'd say despite traveling to Munich, Germany for a neutral site game in which they are the visitors, the Giants will join the Panthers for the league's last European affair, where the FanDuel's opening odds have the Giants as a 5.5-point favorite. Holy cow. Officially snapping the 24-game streak of holding an underdog position in the upcoming contest. Wow. The Panthers, also traveling with a 2-7 record, are coming off a close 23-22 win over the Saints, which evens them with the Giants in victory. Still, their season has been marred by mediocre football that arguably surpasses the former's. They lost 7 of their first 8 games before they won this past Sunday and were outscored by 3 scores or more in 5 of them. Whew. Like the Giants, Carolina has struggled with inconsistent quarterback play as it's shuffled between former number 1 Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, the gunslinger. The younger arm took command this past week and looked better as the Panthers put up over 20 points for just the 4th time all season, but they still aren't that efficient with an average of 176 passing yards and 16.3 points per contest, which is barely above what the Giants. The Giants barely do The Giants' points are less, but the Giants actually pass for a little bit more yards than the Panthers do. We got, the Giants have kept many of their games much closer, losing 4 straight, but only 2 of those 7 total losses have been by more than 10 points. You obviously the Eagle game and the Viking game, but other ones, all the other losses the Giants had, you can make cases where the Giants could have, should have, would have possibly won the game, right? Playing on the road also seems to have helped out the Giants, especially their offense. They averaged 21.5 points this year as the visitors, and over 364 yards of total offense, with all 4 road games amassing over 300 yards of production. Daniel Jones also looks more confident outside of MetLife Stadium, with 6 of his 8 touchdown passes in the enemy's arenas. So, along with the 5.5-point spread, the total over-under points for the game is 41.5, which accounts for 2 of the most lackluster offenses in football. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Giants have coveted that number in 2 straight weeks and only 3 times all year, while the Panthers contests have covered it in all but once as a result of their inability to slow down the opposing operations. So, now Carolina says here is 29th and 30th in total yards. So we're looking at a couple bad offenses here. So something's got to give. But the Giants, they're looking to go 4-0 in Europe. In what has been an imperfect season for the Giants, they will attempt to extend one record of perfection when they play the Carolina Panthers in Germany. It will be the NFL's 5th and final international game this season, and the 55th regular season game played on foreign soil since the league began exporting its products to different countries in 2005. This will be the Giants' 4th trip to Europe and the first to Germany for a regular season game. They played, it talks about here, they played a preseason game in Germany 30 years ago against the Chargers. Let's say they played a preseason game in Berlin in 1994. Giants won all 3 of their games in London, 2007, 16, and 22, and made the playoffs each year. Interesting. But that's in London. Okay. But no, 2007, 16, and 22. Even since 2012, we've only been to the playoffs 2 times since 2012. 16 and 22. Those are the 2 times we played in London. Interesting. Let's see. Their 3-0 record abroad, right, makes them one of 6 teams with undefeated international record in international games, joining the Vikings, who are 4-0, Chiefs are 3-0, the Eagles are 3-0, the Carolina's 1-0, and Dallas is 1-0. Somehow, I have no idea. I really, really don't. I have no idea. There's absolutely no idea. You're trying to promote football. Now, once again, I don't like the Cowboys, hate the Eagles, yada, yada, yada. But I have no idea. We've been playing outside, I think it says since 2005. So we've been playing football abroad. Everybody's got to take a turn. This is like basically the 20th season, I think it said. Since 2005, I think it said. This is the 20th season. 55th game we've been playing abroad. Some teams have played like 4 games. In 20 years, the Cowboys have played 1 time abroad. Why? Especially if you're trying to, attract a bigger audience and all that. You get there's no denying. They're bandwagoners, but the Cowboys got fans everywhere. Put them abroad. I don't mean put them there every year, but they played 1 game abroad. That's it. Come on, man. But the Giants are trying to stay perfect here. Where we at here? Bam. All right. On November 13, 2022, the Buccaneers defeated the Seahawks in front of 69,000 fans, the only previous NFL game played in Munich. So it was 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago to the day, the Bucs defeated the Seahawks 21-16 in Munich. Last year, the NFL played games on consecutive Sundays at the Deutsche Bank Park in Frankfurt, not Munich. Kansas City defeated Miami. Indianapolis topped New England. 10-6. What a barn burner that one was. Each game drew slightly more than 50,000 fans. Giants will play their fourth regular season game in Europe, and after winning 3 games in 3 different stadiums in London, and can't forget in 2007 when they beat the Dolphins, right? That's when Eli Manning, the only touchdown the Giants got, Eli Manning scrambled in from, I can't forget how far out, but he ran into the corner of the end zone, just snuck in for a crowd of 81,000 people. Then the Giants played in London in 2016 when they earned a 17-10 victory over the Los Angeles Rams in the first NFL game played at Twickenham Stadium. Then, of course, 2 years ago in England, when we beat the Packers at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Giants first played in Germany on August 13, 1994, when they defeated the San Diego Chargers in a preseason game in Berlin, 28-20. The game was played in Berlin Olympic Stadium, the primary outdoor venue for the 1936 Olympic Games. Yeah, that game still gives me chills, man. Hitler was there, right? I mean, whew, man. Seattle Seahawks set the international record for points scored, a 50-17 victory against Buffalo in 2012. The European record is 45 points by Kansas City against the Lions, set in 2015. 3 international games ended in shutouts. Buffalo beat Washington 23-0. The other shutouts were, New Orleans beat Miami 20-0, and then the Rams routed in 2015. New Orleans beat Miami 20-0, and then 3 weeks later the Rams routed Arizona 33-0. So the Giants are looking to stay, perfect across the pond. Well, of course, when they say across the pond, they mean like in England and all that. But this is in Germany, so they got a chance. I said it's just one of those things. It's just like, if they wind up winning to be 3-7, then you look back at some of those the 7 losses they had. 2 of them they got blown out at, but you look at 5 of those other losses. It's like, the one game against Commanders, if we actually had a kicker, maybe we're winning that game. Just so many things. It's just like, but hopefully hopefully it'll be at least a decent game anyway, But the Giants are actually favored for the first time in 24 contests. I said they might be favored one more time. I said when they're playing the Saints, because the Saints are coming to Jersey. The Saints have been, lost 7 games in a row. I mean, they're looking really bad. So Giants might get favored maybe one more time before the season's over.